Welcome in to another edition of Region Roundup. I'm James Boyd here with Mike Clark after a 2-week layoff. I'm sorry, folks, we missed it last week, but because of that, we do have a lot of breaking news, Mike. I know it's been a busy week for you and me, so let's start off with what you were up to shortly, a little while ago this week with some pretty big news coming to Crown Point.
Yes, Crown Point has a new football coach, replacing Kevin Enright, who parted ways with the program after 9 seasons, 3 sectional titles. The Bulldogs have hired Craig Bazia, which is a tremendous hire. We know that DAC football is highest level football in our area, some of the highest level football played in Indiana. We've known what's been going on in recent years with Valparaiso, Maryville, Chesterton. We all know has a great quarterback in Chris Mullen. Michigan City has been consistently solid. LaPorte is actually looking for a football coach right now. Jeremy Lowry resigned. Lake Central recently hired a coach. I kind of look at the DAC is kind of like a Power 5 conference on a high school level for us. Basically, it's big schools, big fan bases, high expectations. And anyway, getting back to Crown Point, yesterday as we're speaking, well, actually 2 days ago as we're speaking, today we're recording this on Wednesday. On Monday night, Crown Point hired Craig Bazia, who is a Griffith grad, coached at Portage for 13 seasons, I believe, 13 or 14. It's in my story. Go check it out. Coached at Michigan City for 3 years, and then went to Homewood Flossmoor, where he has won 94 games in 10 years, 10 straight trips to the Illinois State playoffs. In Illinois, you have to qualify. It's not automatic like it is in Indiana. Finished second in the state in Class 8A, which is the biggest class in Illinois in 2014. Went to the semis another time, went to the quarters 4 more times. So 6 times in 10 years, got at least to the final 8. And Craig is just one of the most respected football coaches in 2 states, really. He's tremendously respected on the Illinois side with what he's done at HF. And, he's a region guy at heart. Again, grew up in Griffith, coached at Portage during Portage's glory years.
Yeah, took him to state.
Took him to finishing second 1 year at state. And he's just a guy, he's a really creative offensive mind. So Crown Point fans, you're going to be excited to see what he does on the offensive side of the ball. Just a great hire. And he overcame leukemia, acute leukemia, as a matter of fact. So the last time, because Illinois did not play a fall season, the last time he actually coached was in the fall of 2019. And right after they got knocked out of the playoffs that year, he went into the hospital, and there was a lot of trying to figure out what was going on. I thought it might have been meningitis. They could not figure it out until they finally realized he had acute leukemia. He had a really tough time. He put on 70 pounds with water weight, then wound up losing most of it. And he beat it with 24/7 chemotherapy for a period, which obviously knocked him down, but not out. And then he also later underwent stem cell replacement. The leukemia, the cancer was in remission, but the best way to keep it that way was to have the stem cell procedure. And because there was no football to coach, with Illinois being down because of the pandemic, that made it an easier call. I think he probably would have done it anyway, but again, he's back, feeling healthy, feeling great now. And he told me when I talked to him the other night that he would not have taken this job if he did not feel like he was physically capable of doing it. He was set to retire this year as a teacher in Illinois, and regardless, before COVID happened, before his leukemia diagnosis happened. Get targeted this year for that. So it was going to be kind of a crossroads time for him, whether he was going to stay at HF and possibly coach without a teaching position. And there are some districts that prefer not to have non-staff coaches, especially head coaches in high-profile sports. So that hadn't really got to that discussion yet. There was a possibility of, staying on staff there as an assistant, going somewhere else as an assistant. But the Crown Point job opened up, and he told me that this is the one job in Northwest Indiana that he really wanted, because he thought it was just a tremendous opportunity. The facilities, obviously, a relatively new high school. He mentioned the turf fields for their feeder programs, the dome. Also, a very engaged sports community. A lot of athletes at Crown Point. Obviously, the baseball program is one of the best in Northwest Indiana, one of the best in the state, actually, under Steve Strayer. Boys basketball is having a great season this year under Clint Swan. And just a lot, track, cross country, there's a lot of athletes in that school, and it's only going to get bigger. He said the projections that they told him is that they expect Crown Point to be at 3,500 kids, in the not too distant future. So again, a bigger pool of athletes to choose from. He thinks it's a great job, and I think it's a great hire. So, yeah. And you also have another update on another DAC school that just hired a coach.
Yeah, it's pretty cool that they he has an Illinois connection as well. The new Lake Central coach, if you've been under a rock, is Rick Good. Good decision, some would say, but he's a really good coach for around this area. Has a great reputation around the region, especially in recent years. He led Calumet to their first ever sectional championship in football last fall, and basically ended his 4-year tenure there on a high note. I will say that this was probably the best graduating class that's going to come through there for a couple of years. So he may have seen like, hey, this opportunity opened up. I just finished something off really well with these guys. Let me see what I can do. He said that his goal is to coach at the highest level. And like you've already alluded to, the DAC is the highest level of football in the region. So Rick Good is the guy at Lake Central now, replacing Tony Barthomeo. Hope I'm saying that right. And he basically comes into a program that has not won in probably for the last 5 or 6 years. They've been pretty down. I do think that Craig is stepping into a better situation at Crown Point, simply because Crown Point has been pretty respectable. Even this past year, they weren't at the bottom of the DAC like Lake Central was. Lake Central did not win a DAC game, and the only team they beat this year was Munster. So he's going to really have to build that program, I believe, from the ground up, Mike. I think that there's going to have to be a lot of work done from the Pop Warner to the middle school to the high school, JV to varsity programs, just that pipeline in general, just because from what I understand, it hasn't really been there. I mean, they have a school, I believe, with 5,000 kids, the most kids probably in the region, I believe, any school in the region. And, like you said about Crown Point, they're good in boys soccer. They're good in basketball, really pretty respectable in basketball. Great in baseball, but football is just that one sport that has never really been that good in recent years. So I think it's a great hire for them. I'm excited to see what he's going to do. I was at his presser, Mike, and right after the school board meeting last week, at least it was last Tuesday, and those parents at Lake Central, man, they had some questions for him, and they were not scared to ask. They were asking them questions like, what's a realistic total of wins for this upcoming season? And, I heard that we don't even have a tackling sled, so can you figure that out? And,
and it's interesting, too, because one thing that has been true in the not too distant past is Lake Central's facilities were not good. Mm-hmm. And their facilities are better now, but that was always one of the issues. They haven't really been a consistent winner in football for quite a while, and facilities are a huge part of it. And especially that district in particular will lose kids to Andrean. It will lose kids to Marian Catholic in Illinois because both of those private schools are not too far away. Andrean obviously has a great football program under Chris Skinner. Marian Catholic is building up its football program under Eric Middleton. So, there's a lot of athletes in the Lake Central District. Some of the football players, though, may not have been as attracted to the program as they may have been to some other, private school programs that they may have perceived to be a little bit better. But, Rick, interestingly enough, of course, is a Mount Carmel grad, so he comes from a private school background himself, and he understands the levels of excellence that are needed. And, one of the things that, can make you stand out a little bit in the DAC is, I think Rick's energy is a good fit because it's going to take some selling, honestly, to get the kids back involved, excited about the program. And he certainly proved that at Calumet, that he was able to generate that energy, to get the kids involved, because let's not forget what happened for them this past season. I mean, it looked like they weren't going to have a season.
Right.
And it wound up being the greatest season in terms of postseason success in the program history. So, a lot of kids would have tuned out at some point when it looked like, 2, 3, 4 weeks in, we're not going to have a season. But he kept the kids engaged and kept them together and did a tremendous job of winning that sectional, because and that's what it's going to take at LC. It's going to take somebody with some vision and some energy to get them back up. And I mean, I hope that folks are realistic. I mean, it's not going to happen in 2021 necessarily. I mean, it may, I suppose, but that's probably not a realistic expectation. Football is a sport that it takes a while to kind of turn that ocean liner around. It's a building process, and like you mentioned, it's a great point. You need to coordinate with the youth programs, and you need to the best programs, high school programs, are programs where there is good coordination with the youth programs, where the high school kids and the high school coaches, go out, see games, run clinics. And also you need to be running the same offense. You need to be teaching the kids the concepts when they're in 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So when they get to high school, they understand the concepts of the offense and they can just plug right into the system. So, my guess is that Rick will, look at a lot of those things. And I know that Craig Bazia is going to do the same thing at Crown Point.
Yeah, I'm excited. I kind of, I don't want to wish the football season right back upon us. But, in that same breath, I kind of do, because over on the other side of the border, which you're more familiar with than me, Mike, there was some, I would say for a lot of people, there was a deep sigh of relief, within this past week, and especially today, just because of the update that was given about high school sports.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's exciting. After, as I said, not having a high school football season in the fall, and as of this date, there has not been high school basketball in Illinois. But last week, Governor Pritzker and the Illinois Department of Public Health leader both basically said, Illinois is making a lot of progress on COVID numbers. They're coming way down. And in a lot of areas, indoor dining's coming back, and a few other things ancillary to the progress. But high school sports are coming back. High school basketball will start essentially immediately. As soon as teams get their required practices in, they'll be able to start playing right away. High school football is coming back at the beginning of March for practice, March 19th to April 24th, 6-week season for high school football in Illinois. Folks are ecstatic about that, especially the seniors who thought that they wouldn't have a season. The juniors who want a chance to showcase their skills, get some film for college recruiting. It's been a long, cold winter in Illinois, and a long, tough fall as well. Illinois, like Indiana, also canceled spring sports. So, except for the few low-risk fall sports that were held, I mean, we have had very little sports on the Illinois side since last March, basically. So, the 10 months of the pandemic has really wreaked havoc on sports in Illinois, but they are coming back, and everybody's excited about that. And as you mentioned, uniquely, Craig Bazia will be coaching two high school football seasons, rather. He'll be coaching a shortened season at HF, assuming this assumes that the numbers stay low and we move into what is called phase 4. It looks like it's trending that way. Should be there hopefully pretty soon. A lot of the downstate counties are already in phase 4, so they will be starting up right away. But yeah, Craig could be coaching 6 games in Illinois, and then I guess a minimum of 10 games in Indiana this fall, with the 9-game regular season and at least 1 sectional game. So it could be a long year for him. It goes straight through from March till whenever Crown Point season would end. But he's excited about it, like I said, and certainly everybody's excited about it on the Illinois side. But and again, one of the key points of having sports back is to allow kids to make their case for college athletes, or for college recruiters rather, and you have some updates on that.
Yeah, so I put out a notebook yesterday that really could have been probably 3 standalone stories. I feel like I get myself in these predicaments where I'm thinking something's going to be really quick, and then luckily more people respond than I thought. So the biggest news, I think, is definitely Maryville wide receiver Armani Glass, 5'7", 155 pounds. He got a Division I scholarship offer from Army, his first one, and he played 5 games this past season. And I mean, he only had 2 receiving touchdowns before he tore his left ACL. So this is a guy coming off a major knee injury who still was able to land a Division I scholarship offer from a well-respected program. Obviously, any of the armed forces schools are usually pretty prestigious as far as academically what you have to do to get in, and just character-wise. And then 3. I mean, this guy's undersized. Like, he's super undersized. And if you see him just like walking, you'll think there's no way this guy is a Division I athlete. But I mean, when he's healthy, Mike, the kid is dynamic. I did get worried when he got hurt early in the year, and I honestly thought like, hey, this is a kid who has the potential to play at the highest level. Might not get that chance because he just. I personally thought he just hadn't done enough, but he told me he had been in contact with Army early in his senior season, got hurt, kind of went away, and they picked it back up recently and they offered him. So I'm really happy for that kid, just because I've met Armani personally, have interviewed him multiple times, been here in the region going on about 2.5 years now, and he's one of those guys I interviewed early on in my career, starting in the region. So I've known him for a couple of years, and he's very high character, very good student, and a very, very explosive athlete when he's healthy. So, I just can't even picture him being out there at the Division I level, but I'm excited for it because, I'm assuming he, reels in some other Division I offers, or even if he doesn't, he has one for a full ride, and obviously if that's the only one he gets, that's probably where he'll be going. So that's exciting news for him. Got some other Maryville guys who got offers. Theodore Sparks, their left tackle, got an offer from Ball State, who just won the MAC championship in the Arizona Bowl. And then their running back, Lavarion Tank Logan, had picked up 2 offers from Illinois State and Indiana State. So those were like the football recruiting updates that I had. And then as far as some of the spring sports, We had a baseball player from Chesterton, Ryan Donnelly Jr., pitcher, lefty. He has committed to Oakland University, which is the former university of Mike Brasso, the region, I guess, legend now. He's played in the World Series. And we had Michaela Kriesbaum from Lake Central, softball player. She's headed to Eastern Illinois. And then lastly, rounding out my notebook was Courtney Blakely from Bishop Knoll, who I've written about so much and I'll probably write about again as she continues to embark on this incredible senior season. She picked up 2 more offers from mid-majors. She got one from Stetson and then also Middle Tennessee State. So now she has 3 Division I offers. Her other one was Indiana State. So, Mike, I know I said a mouthful right there, but it was a lot. I mean, I tried to hit all the major things that I saw within the last couple of months, and just looking at our numbers, man, people really love recruiting stories. I feel like I can just put, like, recruiting and a picture of any random athlete, and then, like, it'll get a click. Just because everyone wants to know where they're going, and I tried to inform everyone as best of my knowledge of what's going on, and yeah, it was fun to kind of do that and obviously just to get that excitement going and let people know that there are some really good athletes here in the region.
Yeah, and a couple of things. Number one, Army is not only a prestigious place to go, but their football program is really good.
Yeah.
And interestingly enough, their coach, Ted Munkin, is a Illinois native. So they recruit the Midwest quite a bit. And they play a pretty exciting brand of football, too. Them and Navy both, actually. Navy was a little bit down this year, but they both play kind of wide-open football, a lot of fun to watch. Also, regarding recruiting, that's so true. I mean, I've seen that, in the stories that I've written. Those stories just really resonate with fans. And, part of it is it's like for some of the bigger athletes, there's people all over the country that had set up Google alerts on these people. And certainly, one of the people we'll be following very closely, obviously, we haven't actually talked about for a couple of weeks, is Jalen Washington. Yep. His recruiting is still out there. He's playing, which is great.
And he's playing well for those of you who are, I guess, who've been under a rock. We've covered a couple of his games recently. He's coming along nicely. He isn't putting up huge numbers, Mike, but he is playing well, and he's showing that given the minutes, he's probably going to get you a double-double on pretty much every given night. Got a sweet stroke, and everyone just stay patient. He's still not, from what I understand, he's not like just given like that free reign to just do whatever and play however many minutes. They still want to be cautious, but he's playing more minutes. He's playing better overall, and now it's just a question of can Westside as a team figure it out to hopefully but potentially make a run, in the postseason.
And let's switch to a little bit of basketball talk now. And you made the long trek out to Porter County.
I did.
Twice, back-to-back nights last week. So for the PCC tournament, girls tournament on Friday night, girls tournament final on Friday night, the boys tournament final on Saturday night, and you saw some interesting basketball there.
Yeah, it was fun. I had an option to go there or not, or to quote unquote pick a better game, but to me, I try to get out to schools I haven't seen. It's pretty much everywhere in the region since since we've had some changes. There hasn't been a designated like Porter County reporter, so I definitely did not mind making the trek out there to see some of the PCC folks. I had seen Couts boys. They won the PCC boys title on Saturday over Boone Grove pretty easily. Their third straight PCC title. But I had seen them a couple of times this year. I saw them against Andran, and so I knew what to kind of expect from them. I hadn't seen the South Central girls who won the girls tournament on Friday night. They took down the Couts girls. I had talked to the South Central, one of their players, Olivia Marks, for one of my notebooks earlier this year, and she ended up being basically the player of the game. Got him going, and Mike, it was so loud at South Central, like so loud. I remember last year they had the PCC tournament championships, at Hebron, and it's a bigger gym, and I just remember, even though it was a really big gym, it was packed full of just the dedicated Porter County favorites and alums and everyone you could think of, kids, whatever. Every generation was there, and it was so loud. And I was going to last week I was going to this year's PCC tournament title games, and I'm thinking, okay, like it'll be a little milder, but man, that girls' game was loud, like super loud. Granted, South Central is a smaller gym, so you don't have to I guess have as many fans to make it loud, but man, it was deafening. Seriously, like they had even had like little sections with signs and things like that, which I thought was awesome. It was a lot of fun. It was a good game. That girls' game was actually really good. It was back and forth until about maybe midway through the fourth quarter. South Central kind of pulled away, which was, I guess, expected. They were coming in, I would think, as the favorite. But yeah, it was a fun game. I enjoy those type of things. And people are like, man, you could have gone and seen, West Side or 21st Century or any, somebody else. And I was telling them, like, to me, it's cool to get out to see those things, just because. Is it the same level of basketball? No. Is it a 4A program? No. But you can tell it means a lot to that community and lots of those players. And anytime there's a championship on the line, I'd like to be there. I had the honor of passing out the trophies both nights. So that was nice. I kind of forgot that we sponsored the Gold Ball Trophy, which was retired because South Central won it for their third time in recent years. And then, like I said, Couch Boyd three-peated. And once the way the trophy goes, if you get your name on a trophy 3 times by winning the tournament, whether it's 3 times in a row, three times in 5 years, whatever, you retire that trophy, and then the Times has to buy a new one. So we'll be putting up 2 trophies for next year's tournament and starting that process all over again. But it was fun. That was a good experience for me, and just kind of maybe miss how the PCC was the first time I experienced it, what people have told me it's been. So I'm really hoping that next year, we can get back to some of that normal PCC craziness. But for what it's worth, I thought it was pretty spot on for what you'd expect from just some small school, teams duking it out for bragging rights and some diehard fans. So that was fun.
Right. And so that's kind of the good news, bad news, the good news part of the good news, bad news equation for basketball. And we have some unfortunate news too. Some COVID news has happened during the fall. We had a few teams that could not compete in the postseason. We already have 2 teams, 2 girls basketball teams that will not be able to compete in the postseason either. That is River Forest and Whiting. And, we'll see if there's any others that join that list. But, it's unfortunate. Obviously, we knew this was a possibility. The HSAA set it up that way that there would be no postponements for postseason games. If you can play, you play. If you can't play, well, then you're out. So that's where we're at with those.
Yeah, it's tough. I had just written about River Forest, I believe, last week. They're a very young team, so I guess the one positive about their program is that I believe all their players are coming back. So they're going to be able to regroup, and they actually won more games this year, even though they haven't finished out the year properly, than last year. They won 5 games last year. They won 8 this year. Had won 4 straight games, and then they get the news that they would have to quarantine, and that takes them out of the tournament. So that was tough. I actually followed up with Whiting because of John Harrell, who always gets the scoop before me. I do my due diligence, Mike, to tweet out as many scores as I have whenever he needs them, because I'm on his website literally every day. And it's funny, I'm sitting here right now with my laptop open, and I have 2 John Harrell tabs open. So I'm always, checking in with him. But yeah, I mean, like you said, this is the reality of competing. And even going back to how Illinois sports is starting up, that's going to be their reality too. You know what I mean? Like, it's not, I think people kind of, and I'll give them the right to be happy and excited, because, we did not think Illinois sports were going to happen at one point. Seriously, at least I didn't think so. But now that you make that call. There are going to be instances where you're not able to compete or you have an interruption. And even now, moving on to, I guess, the rest of our COVID update, we had another boys basketball team pause, which was Highland, which is the 25th out of 44 boys teams. We've had 32 out of 43 girls teams, but as far as Highland boys, they're out for the next 2 weeks because of COVID-19. And when they come back, Mike, they will play 9 games in 11 days to finish out the regular season because they were able to reschedule all of their games. And now looking at even like the Andrean boys basketball schedule, they're on hold right now. When they come back, they'll be doing a similar thing where they're just playing game after game after game and going straight into the postseason. So it's pretty wild. I was like, wow, like 9 games in 11 days is not even like an NBA schedule, honestly. Because I don't think in the NBA you play more than 2 or 3 games in a row. You might do 4 games in 5 nights, and that's kind of what these teams are doing. So the Highland AD told me it'll be fast and furious, and I'm just hoping that they can be healthy. I actually wrote about them again last week as well, and one of their players talked to me about how they hadn't had a COVID-19 interruption, and hopefully I didn't jinx them, but all this aside, I'm hoping that they're healthy. And he was just saying that this is Camden. I hope I'm saying this right. Scheit. He's a senior. He was saying to me, Mike, I was like, what does this senior year mean to you? What do you want out of it? Most kids will tell you, I want to win a sectional championship. I want to go to state, even if their team isn't poised to do so. They'll give you all these outlandish things. And he's like, you know what, man? I just want a chance to play in a playoff game with all of my teammates, all the kids I grew up with, and for us to have the chance to kind of, basically control our own destiny together. He was just saying you don't want to get that phone call, right before you're supposed to play in a sectional championship game or even any sectional game, and you find out, oh, you can't play, or you can play, but 2 of your teammates are out because of contact tracing. He was just saying if everyone get there healthy, I'll be happy, which I thought was a very mature answer. Honestly, I don't know if I'd have said the same thing if I was his age, but I'm hoping the best for all of our region teams and every team around the state, just because now we're entering that point, like you already said, where there is no more stoppage, at least for the girls. I mean, the girls tournament starts next week, so any team that I hear about from here on out, as far as girls go, and soon enough with the boys, the question is going to be not when you're rescheduling games, it's going to be, are you going to be dropping out of the postseason?
Yeah, for sure. And that's the reality we live in. I would say that's kind of the disclaimer that we give every week. That is where we're at. And just another kind of a COVID update. South Suburban College men's basketball. The last time we checked in with them, they had kind of a bittersweet ending to last season. They qualified for nationals, but nationals were canceled. They actually postponed first and then canceled. But Courtney Carter, one of their players, was named the National Junior College Athletic Association Division II Player of the Year. So that was a great individual finish for them. They have had some interesting times. JUCO basketball was postponed until January. They were able to get contact days in last fall, and they actually played some scrimmage games, not counting games, but scrimmage games before Thanksgiving, before they went into a dead period, not because of COVID, but that was just the way the schedule was set up. And then when they were ready to come back, they had 1 positive COVID test, which shut down the entire program. So they're trying to get back at it. They're currently ranked number 1 in the country in JUCO Division II. There's 3 divisions in junior college, kind of like the NCAA, and it's structured similar to the NCAA. There are no, in Division III JUCO, just like Division III NCAA, there are no official athletic scholarships. You get need-based aid, academic aid, whatever. Division II has a certain level of scholarships, and then Division I is the top one in terms of number of scholarships. But again, South Suburban in Division II, ranked number 1 in the country. A lot of stuff that they're going through, much like all the high schools are going through. They're supposed to start their season this weekend as we are recording this, and hopefully they can get through that. And that is kind of wrapping up where we are at right now. Again, numbers are improving on both sides of the state line. They're really good in Illinois, getting better in Indiana. But folks, let's keep it heading in the right direction as the vaccines come out. Please mask up. Please social distance. Please continue to do your due diligence with precautions so that we can get through this winter and through this spring. And, I saw that, I guess the latest thing is that they're hoping that most folks can be vaccinated by the end of the summer, which would, mean by the time we come back to football in Indiana and the next football season in Illinois, hopefully we are back to having normal sports,
Oh, Mike, don't even worry. I have already looked because Illinois opened up the 65 and older group for vaccinations. So I was talking to my grandma earlier. I was checking out, I believe, the Walgreens website to see when I could get her signed up. She's a person who, was skeptical at first, and just being from her era, she really didn't take too many shots and stuff growing up. But she's gonna take it, and she's excited about it. And even though she, had me order her some or N95 masks, which she'll still wear. She's excited to go get the vaccine. So the times are changing gradually, and we are moving into, I believe, just a better environment as far as health. But like you said, just got to stay vigilant about it. But best believe Grandma Boyd is she's going to be going to get that vaccine very soon. And I told her, I was joking with her, Mike. I was like, man, if you have any trouble with the ride or trying to get there or whatever, I told her, call me. I have, vacation days, and I will gladly burn one so she can go, do what she has to do. But yeah, all jokes aside, I mean, this is, I feel really good about it. I'm just hoping that, like you said, we can stay vigilant. I know people kind of think, oh, things are trending. Like, no, wear your mask still. And, hopefully, just like you said, we can put this in our rear view and talk about it in the past tense instead of the present.
Well, and I know that, a big part of your life and of your routine is hanging out with your grandma on Sundays after church and at church, I guess, too. So hopefully, we're all looking forward to the day when you can give your grandma a great big hug without a mask on. And sit out in the backyard. And, obviously we have to get to spring and summer, weather-wise too. But, I feel, I would say, more optimistic than I have for a while. I mean, and it's, the metaphor is there, and, it's kind of obvious. So I won't beat it into the ground, but it has been a dark winter. It's been a dark year for a lot of folks, in terms of COVID, job losses, civil unrest. We talked about all of these things, in the past few weeks and months on the podcast. And, I have hope that we are kind of emerging from these tough times. And, and again, ending up here, wrapping up our podcast for the week, our double special edition or whatever it is. We've talked about this, you've written about it, I've written about it. And I hope that folks understand, that we are trying to, give you our takes on the world as it is, and, sports place in the world as it is. And, these are things that we can't really avoid, especially this year right now. So, and other thing that is really exciting, and it's a little bit tangential to what we usually talk about, but Candace Parker, it looks like, is coming back to Chicago. Arguably, the greatest female athlete ever to come out of Chicago. There were some Olympians, back in the day, but I mean, certainly, in the recent, 2 or 3 decades, the sky is looking pretty good. To throw that metaphor out there, but I mean, very exciting times for women's sports in Chicago in particular. If Candace Parker does come back, indeed, that's a huge move for the sky, and I know a lot of basketball fans are looking forward to that too. And that is my last thing to add for this week. So.
All right, make sure you all tune in next week. We will have a podcast. I'm speaking into existence. Got a little caught up, but again, I feel very good that we were able to update you all on a lot of things going on in the region and also across state lines. So just stay safe, and we'll check in with you all soon.